Good morning. As Provost and Academic Vice President of Salem State University, I hereby call to order this assembly and declare open the Fall 2019 University Convocation. It is now my honor and distinct pleasure to present to you the 14th President of Salem State University, Mr. John D. Keenan. Welcome.
Please be seated. Good morning. I didn't hear anything from the bleachers. Good morning. Come on, we got new coffee. I heard it's great on campus. Good morning to the class of 2023. Welcome to Salem State University. As I was just introduced, I'm John Keenan and very proud to be the 14th president of Salem State University. And it is truly my honor to address our newest Vikings here this morning. Look around the room at your new Salem State family. You have joined a community of people who share your curiosity of the world around you. These people you will get to know over the next 4 years. Maybe you'll study together. Maybe you'll become friends. Maybe you'll have debates. Maybe you'll even cook waffles at 3 a.m. in the new 24/7 Marsh Dining Commons, as I heard happened over this weekend. But hopefully it will be all of the above. Here at Salem State, you will not only be challenged academically, but you will meet people who will challenge the way that you think. You may be familiar for some of the folks in this room, as some of you may have met over the weekend, as I did right here at Diversity University. Right now, however, I'm going to ask that most of these people in the room are new faces in a crowd, which is why I'm going to pause and ask each of you to turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself, please. And if there are new faculty members as well, please. Very good. I hope you just made the beginning of a new relationship with someone that you haven't met yet. Now that probably felt a little bit uncomfortable. It was probably a little bit uncomfortable, and that's okay, but that was the point. Discomfort is a big part of the growth that happens at college, and it's what allows you to become a new person. I am fully aware of this process. I have a sophomore in college as well. I dropped him off on Thursday, so I'm aware of what you're going through. And throughout the next 4 years, I encourage you to do things that are outside of your comfort zone. That might mean taking a class in a subject that interests you, but does not come easy to you. It might mean studying abroad, even if you've never traveled internationally. It might mean joining a club full of people you've never met and wondering if you belong. But please, make the most of your time here in seeking out these opportunities. As Senator Robert F. Kennedy said, "Only those who dare fail greatly can achieve greatly." You'll be amazed at what you can learn by taking a chance. Sometimes the best learning is to dust yourself off when things don't go as you hoped. And there's probably a chance that will happen. But as many as you know, this builds resilience that will serve you well for the rest of your life. Many of our students overcome challenges during their college years that are much bigger than feeling uncomfortable in a new space. These challenges could be academic, personal, or even financial. And that brings me to the most important point of overcoming challenges. No one should do it alone. Here at Salem State, we invest in resources to assist you. Like 35% of our students, I was a first-generation college student. Having parents that didn't go to college certainly made things a little more difficult to navigate, but it also made graduation all the more meaningful for all of us. There is no challenge too small to warrant reaching out to somebody on campus. You have already met many folks on campus throughout orientation and Viking Plunge. If you don't know who the best person is to help, ask someone you know. First-year experience and student life are great resources to start with if you're really unsure. You may have met Dean Penzella's with us here this morning, so she would be a good place to start as well. Your student fees help pay for these resources, so please use them. And please connect to something while you're on campus. whether it's an on-campus job, a major, a faculty or staff member, a club, an issue, these connections can and will make all the difference. Many of our student leaders have challenged us to do better, and we have. You will meet a couple of them in a few moments. Please keep up that tradition. Because of student voices, we have changed our general education curriculum to require a course in diversity, power dynamics, and social justice. We have divested from fossil fuels and offered more sustainable ways to travel. You may have noticed there's a few scooters on campus. I was actually traveling around the city in those last weekend myself with my daughter. And I'm going to sound a little bit like a parent, but please wear a helmet, right? Please wear a helmet. It's a pretty cool way to get downtown. Most recently, we've also changed our food service, and I hope you've recognized that as well. This year, we're rolling out a new dining experience that I mentioned earlier that includes 24/7 dining in Marsh Hall. And I will tell you, you can't walk more than 2 feet in Marsh Hall without finding a plug, right? So you can plug all your gadgets in. It's fantastic. And we're also expanding our shuttle service as a result of a conversation that I had with some of our students down in the School of Social Work last spring, right? Yeah, absolutely. So when you speak, we listen. So please, speak up. We're going to make some changes. And these changes have come from students speaking up all across the campus. So use your voice. I also encourage advocacy that goes well beyond this campus. At Salem State, we encourage you to become active members of our community here in Salem. Please raise your hand if you took part in the first year day of service on Friday. Thank you so much for that. So some of you may be aware these students came to campus a little early to volunteer with nearby nonprofits. We had 275 students, faculty, and staff spanning all across the North Shore into 6 different communities, going to 28 different organizations. I think I got to about 6 myself. And it was a fantastic day and a great way to have a wonderful impact and to begin your experience here at Salem State. I hope it was just the beginning of your activity here on our campus and abroad. And don't forget one of the simplest ways to get involved in your community, right? Hope everybody knows what that is. It's a 4-letter word. Vote, right? Vote. We here at Salem State, take great pride in the fact that our voting turnout and participation ranks amongst most universities here in the Commonwealth. In fact, we kicked Harvard's butt last election cycle in the number of students that we put out to vote, and we will do even more in the election cycle in the years ahead, in the days ahead. Some of you may have heard 2020 should be a pretty exciting campaign cycle, right? You're paying attention? There's a lot going on in the news. I think we're finally whittling down the number of Democrats in the presidential race to about a baker's dozen, right? And that will continue. I think we have next week a debate session down at Viking 123, so if you get a chance to turn out. But please, I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, or unenrolled, I ask that you get involved and you vote and you participate in democracy. Many of you don't know me yet. I will tell you I'm a little bit competitive, right? In last election cycle, I put out a bet to the other presidents of the state universities to see if they could beat us in the election, in the cycle. They did not. So I ask you again this cycle to help me keep my bragging rights with the Council of Presidents, because it's something that I'm really proud of. Our country is going through a time of change, and no one should sit it out. Immerse yourself in the issues of the day by reading and talking to your classmates. Many of you have read the first-year reading experience book, The Book of Unknown Americans, by Christina Enriquez. And you will be discussing it this afternoon, as will I in one of the classes. The book touches on topics like immigration and family and disability. These are very timely topics, important and things that we need to be discussing. And we need to be discussing them respectfully, truly listening to one another. Once you get to know me, you'll learn that I also enjoy a good, lively, and civil debate. You'll also learn that I'm a lifelong Salem resident who is standing before you because of my education. You'll learn that I'm a parent of a son in college and a daughter who will enter college next year. I approach this job with an awareness of the sacrifices that you and your family have made in choosing to be here, and how big of a decision that this was. Please make the most of your time here at Salem State. It will be well worth the journey. Utilize all that we have to offer. Get to know each other, your professors and our staff, and please introduce yourself to me if you see me walking the halls or come by during office hours. Talking to students is perhaps my most favorite part of the job, which is why you can probably tell I'm still up here yapping. But I will wrap it up and just say this. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing Salem State. Never forget that your success is the reason that all of us are here, and here's to a fantastic 4 years ahead. Congratulations and welcome. And now it's my opportunity to introduce to you a person who I referenced earlier, a couple of our student leaders who will have the opportunity to speak to you and who are committed to your success. Paul Wilkins is our student trustee now for the second year in a row. He sits on our board of trustees. I welcome any and all of you to come and participate and be aware of what's happening on campus. I think our first set of committee meetings is on September the 25th. Paul sits on that as your voice. Paul is active in so many ways on our campus and is the student representative on the Salem Board of Trustees. He is a person that you should come to get to know and certainly seek his guidance in engaging on our campus. I will tell you he has been a very strong advocate and voice each year as we try to debate and figure out the fee structure for the following year, something that he is very sensitive to and certainly sensitive on behalf of all of you. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Paul Wilkins, student trustee.
Good morning, new students. My name is Paul Wilkins. I'm a senior and a political science major, and I serve as the student-elected member on the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees is the 11-member governing body of Salem State, overseeing critical components of our institution. We are accountable to you, and it is our responsibility to have your best interests at the center of our decision-making process. I am thrilled to be able to serve for a second year on the board representing student voices. It's a privilege to be able to speak to you all before your first year at Salem State. Salem State is an incredible place to receive a college education and prepare for professional and civic life. I hope you take full advantage of everything Salem State has to offer, and I hope you get to know the dedicated group of people who make up this community. My message to you today is about cynicism. Cynicism is an inclination to question whether something will happen or whether something is worthwhile. Cynicism assumes the worst in people and institutions and doubts that any positive change can occur. Cynicism suppresses both the belief that change is possible and the will to act. I believe that each of us and our Salem State community as a whole can benefit from becoming idealists, assuming the best in people, and recognizing our ability to create meaningful change for ourselves and our world. As you begin your college journey, I'd like to draw your attention to 3 places where it's easy to become cynical. First is the cynicism we have toward ourselves. Cynicism prevents us from asking what steps are involved in accomplishing a goal and asking what it would take to be a better version of ourselves. We can too easily hide behind the idea that the path is too narrow, not available to us, or not worth our time. While it's true the odds will not always be stacked in your favor, and not everyone is given an equal opportunity to succeed, we all have access at Salem State to a caring and brilliant faculty, like-minded peers, mentoring and tutoring services, counseling services, and so many other resources on our campus. Challenges, academic, personal, or otherwise, do play a role in defining the college experience. Many students work multiple jobs, study long hours, and take on debt. In the midst of those challenges, we should remember what our strengths are and what we have already overcome. And we should not be afraid to utilize the tools and resources that are available to us. The second area we can become cynical is toward institutions. This is the assumption that institutions will always disappoint us and cannot be changed. In particular, they cannot be changed by anything we can do as individuals. That thinking is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even when our mechanisms for enacting change seem limited, they will be much more limited if we never attempt to exercise them. No one has ever created a movement out of apathy. No one has ever improved their community without a belief in the power of service. All successful human endeavors, social and political movements, begin with the assumption that change is possible, even in spite of great odds. That is why civic engagement is so important. At Salem State, we have a strong tradition of civic engagement. The Center for Civic Engagement is a focal point of the campus community, encouraging dialogue,
knowledge, your skills, and your confidence. As you experience these individual victories that fortify your knowledge, your skills, and your confidence, you propel yourself to even larger successes. So think about this incrementally. For example, success number 1, getting out of this convocation. Success number 2, ending today on a high note. Completing your first week of classes. Successfully passing all your midterms. Successfully passing all of your fall courses. Advancing to sophomore year. And most of all, graduating with your bachelor's degree in May 2023. To steal shamelessly from a wise man I recently heard, begin with the end in mind. And that's your target. That's you. So, with that goal in mind, today marks the beginning of your first year journey. And you should know that there are many people here on this campus, in this community, who are here to ensure that your first year matters, that it really matters. Now, there are numerous individuals that I could acknowledge this morning, but I want to highlight a few who have been recognized for their very special commitment to our first year students at Salem State. The following people were honored last spring as outstanding first year advocates through Salem State's First Year Experience Office. And as I call each name, I'd like you to stand to be recognized. And they are Sam Onesian from Retention Services and Veterans Affairs. Where's Sam? There he is. Bonnie Maitland from the Navigation Center. I hope Bonnie's here. Professor Margot Shea from the History Department. And Professor Timothy Quigley from the English Department. Elsie Sanchez, a mentor with the STEP program. And Brendan Quinn, a resident assistant in the first year area. Thank you. These 6 individuals were nominated by last year's group of first-year students for their commitment to student success. And while we recognize these 6 individuals publicly, you should know that there are over 50 semifinalists for this award this past year. All of these folks exemplify one of the hallmarks of a Salem State University experience, a campus-wide collective commitment to student support and student success. You should know that there are individuals at every turn who are here to listen to you and to assist you. And I want to be sure that you take advantage of the knowledge and expertise of the many individuals here at the university who will support you on your journey toward graduation. Now, there's one more group of people that I want to acknowledge today, and that is the university faculty and librarians. Would the faculty and librarians please stand to be recognized? Thank you. Don't they look splendid in their academic regalia? I want to offer my words of gratitude, appreciation, and admiration to all of the members of our dedicated faculty, many of whom will play a critical role in your college transformation, not only academically, but professionally and personally. You will soon discover that the professors whom you encounter here at Salem State are demanding, but they are equally supportive, engaged, and committed to your intellectual growth and your academic success. So, students, strive to connect with each of your professors and to partner with them in your learning. So on that matter, I'm going to give you some advice. Here are 4 pieces of advice to start the relationship off right. First and foremost are the 3 most important words that a provost can say to students. Some of you heard this on Friday night, and those 3 words are Go to class. Again, go to, please repeat. Go to, one more time, louder. Go to class. Awesome, thank you. If you are not in class, you can't build a relationship. You can't build a relationship with the professor, or with your classmates, or with the material. So above all else, especially in those mornings when you really don't feel like doing it, go to class. Second, introduce yourself to these fine people. Let them know who you are. At the end of class, starting tomorrow, walk to your professor and say, by the way, hey, my name is David. I'm looking forward to the course this semester. Get to know them. Build a relationship. Third, while you're in class, don't be shy. Enthusiastically participate in discussions. Involve yourself in the class activities. Commit to being an engaged, active learner, because it's all about your learning. Finally, be sure that you visit your professors during their office hours. Now, how many faculty in the room have office hours? Raise your hand. Every hand should go up. Thank you. These folks, they are happy to answer questions and happier still to expand upon what you're covering in class. Listen. We academics, we love our academic disciplines, and we will talk to you for as long as you will listen to us. Ain't that true? So, by establishing strong relationships with your professors, as well as with your advisors and other members of the staff and Salem State community, you are charting a more certain path towards success. In addition to establishing productive working relationships with people, when it comes to advancing yourself through college, be sure to use all the services and tools at your disposal. And I'm here to announce today that one such new tool will be rolled out for the first time this year. It's an app for your phone called Navigate. Navigate is an app that creates a virtual space for students, faculty, and other support staff to collaborate with you on your success. So, we will use Navigate to share important information and to engage in important interactions, making sure that everybody in this room is on the same page when it comes to helping students progress toward their degree. Now, our entire Salem State community will be learning more about this new Navigate system over the next few weeks and months. So I ask everybody in the room, students, staff, and faculty alike, be on the lookout for more information about Navigate. And I ask that each of us here today takes the time to familiarize ourselves with this valuable tool in support of the academic success of all of the students, not only in this room, but those who aren't here today, every student. I want to close my remarks today, of course I just did what I wasn't supposed to do, there we go, by saying a few words about this year's first year reading experience selection, The Book of Unknown Americans by Cristina Enriquez. So here it is. If this doesn't look familiar with you, yikes. So as I read the book along with you this summer, I was drawn to the stories of the individuals who moved to a new place filled with hope and dreams for their future, just like you today. And their stories center around the idea of home and family. What does home mean? Where does one find a home? What does family mean? Who becomes part of my family? And these are many of the same questions I suspect that you're asking yourselves today too. Now, while the Rivera family left their home and their family behind in Mexico to find a better life for their daughter, they discovered a new home and a new family in Delaware, people that became their new support system. Your journey to this moment right here and right now is similar. Not the same, but similar. So I want you to take another moment and just look around at the people sitting near you. Look at the faculty here seated on the floor. Look at the staff standing around the room. Look at all these other students in the stands. We are now part of your new family. We're here to provide support and the encouragement to achieve your potential over the next 4 years.
Service and civic activities that address local, regional, and global issues. Salem State has been recognized as having among the highest student voting turnout in the country. You are responsible for continuing that tradition. Find ways to volunteer for a local nonprofit, always vote, follow the news, have challenging discussions with your friends, or help a local or national political campaign. The final way we can be cynical is toward each other. This is when we assume the worst in people, find people's vices before their virtues, and doubt that people have good motives. During your time at Salem State, I hope you flip that mindset on its head. Assume the best in people and put yourself in their shoes. In practice, this simply means being kind and compassionate, but the benefit is not only to the people around you. That attitude will serve as a powerful tool to you. When you see the best in people, you will mimic the best in people, and when you value people, you will value the things they have to teach you. The last thing I want to leave you with is a folk tale that illustrates this point very well. There was once an old wise man who lived in a village. He spent his days sitting in the center of the village, talking to passersby. One day, a traveler came upon the village and stopped and said, "Old man, I have been traveling across the countryside, and I have seen many things and met many people. Can you tell me what kind of people I will find in your village?" The elderly gentleman looked up and replied, "Certainly I can, but first tell me what kind of people you have found on your travels." The traveler scowled and said, "Old man, I have met people who cheat, steal, and aren't kind to strangers, and people who don't look out for one another." The elderly gentleman looked up and with a faint look of sadness in his eyes said, "My friend, those are the people you will find in my village." The traveler kicked the dirt, scoffed, and marched off toward the village. By and by, as the elderly gentleman continued to enjoy his day, another traveler came walking through the village. Once again, the traveler stopped and asked, "Please, kind sir, I have been traveling across the countryside and I've seen many things and met many people. Can you tell me what kind of people I'll find in your village?" The elderly gentleman said, "Certainly I can, but first tell me what kind of people you have found in your travels." This traveler replied, "I have found people who are kind and welcoming of strangers, people who care for one another, and people who love. These are the people I have met in my travels." The elderly gentleman looked up and with the faintest smile in his eyes said, "My friend, those are the kind of people you'll find in my village." College is an adventure and a journey, and we meet many people along the way. We are all travelers. Attitude colors every experience. It is the lens we see the world. If we expect the best from people, we will tend to find the best in people. I hope you adopt this mindset during your time at Salem State, and I wish you the best of luck over your next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wilkins, certainly for that message of the power of positivity. I look forward to working with you in the year ahead on the Board of Trustees. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Student Government Association President, Armando Martinez. I didn't even finish yet, and you're already clapping. Armando is so active in many ways on our campus and now in this formal role. However, I would also tell you before taking on this formal role, he was also a student advocate and a leader through the group Black, Brown, and Proud, who challenged us to make some changes. In fact, we have made those challenges as well. So I look forward, I've enjoyed working with him in that former capacity. I look forward to working with him in this new capacity and making Salem State an even greater campus than it already is. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Armando Martinez, President of the Student Government Association.
Hey, how y'all doing? I think we could get a little bit more response on that. How y'all doing? Okay, cool. Good morning, class of 2023. As President Keene mentioned, I am the Student Government Association President. What that means is all civic engagement, student advocacy work, ideally is funneled through your student governing body. Before I continue, I would like to just take one moment for us to do a collective activity to sort of ground us right now in this moment. So if you would indulge me, I'll walk us through what that activity looks like. So we're all going to take a deep breath in, and then we'll take a deep breath out. Now, if you can repeat this phrase after me, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Now, I want to just put a button on that because we'll return to it later. But the reason why I had us do that breathing activity and share a collective voice in that moment is, as you said, begin with the end in mind. The person next to you said, begin with the end in mind. And though you two are two distinct individuals saying it with your own voice and your own experiences with that, and you're understanding the phrase differently in that moment, as we all say it, in a way, we're sharing that space and we're breathing something out into this room. We're sharing something beautiful in that moment. Now, I would like us to start with my message and my goal to get across to you today. It's a message of resilience. Now, if you all met me at orientation, I told you words are important to me, and they still are, and I still maintain that if we understand the words that we use, we can become that much more powerful when we speak. So resilience is defined as, and I'll provide two different definitions. Resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. It's also defined as the ability of a substance or an object to spring back into shape, as elasticity. And I like both of those definitions because the first one is one that we would generally think of when we think of human resilience, the ability to recover quickly from difficulties. But how, as humans, when we go through difficulties, do we spring back into shape? How do we come back to where we once were before we were met with that challenge so that we can then overcome it? To help us understand how we do that in our everyday lives, I want us to do an activity. Now, it's going to require some standing and sitting, so stand if you are able will be our operative word for all our statements. Now, at a show of hands, who here is familiar with the privilege walk? They read a statement, statements such as, I grew up in a 2-parent household, and then you take one step forward. I want to flip that on its head right now. I want to walk us through what I call and what others call a resilience walk. A privilege walk is great. It does a nice job at helping people understand the ways in their life that they've been advantaged, because sometimes when you have those advantages, you don't necessarily recognize them. What the resilience walk does is it shows us all the ways in our life that we've been resilient and how we've had to overcome difficulties, and we don't even necessarily recognize how great we are to have done those things. So instead of centering privilege in this activity, I want to center resilience and how we've been so great to overcome all that we have to be present in this room right now. So, with that being said, I'm going to read a list of statements. And if you are able, please stand if you identify with that statement, if it resonates with your experience up until this point. I am the first in my family to graduate high school. Thank you. I am the first in my family to attend college. Thank you. I have had to work to help support my family. I speak a second language. I have a visible or invisible disability. Thank you. I have a strong connection to my family history or my family culture. Thank you. I have participated in a protest. Thank you. I have spoken up to intervene when someone has been offensive to another. Thank you. I have been told by adults in my life that college is not for me. And the final one, I am determined to graduate college. Thank you, thank you. All those statements were statements that I intentionally chose, and some of them I created on my own because I wanted to find something that would resonate with our community, so that when someone stood, they would be able to look across the room and have an automatic connection with someone based off of everything that they've overcome to be sitting in this room today. And there's something powerful about someone on this side of the room standing up and someone on that side of the room standing up, someone who you may never have interacted with beforehand, but knowing that you now share a similar experience and you're not alone, because no one ever has been able to accomplish what they've been able to accomplish alone. Everyone on this stage and the esteemed faculty in front of me have always had a person to help them get to that next level. So much of what we have done is worthy of recognition and celebration, and sometimes it's important to pause and to think about all the things that have gotten us to where we are today. We are actively challenging cycles of oppression by being present in this room, and we are actively breaking generational curses that our families have historically put us in a place to. And there's something powerful about being the first in your family. None before, but many after. I want to bring us back to begin with the end in mind. And I want to share a moment of vulnerability with you all, to share with you what my end has been, what I discovered my end was. When I sat, similarly to you, in seats at the beginning of the year, I was trying to figure out what am I going through, what am I here for? Of course I want to graduate, but what is that degree going to have me do? And so I thought, and I found that my end was my family. My end would be the legacy that I would live on through after I had passed. And there was a saying that was floating around recently: if you do not come from a healthy family, then a healthy family must come from you. And I resonated with that statement so deeply because it put into words what I had been striving towards achieving when I was a freshman 3 years ago. I want to challenge everybody in this room right now, all the first years present, to think about what your end is. Because as you begin your college journey, it's important that you begin with the end in mind. What is your end? As you begin your college experience, what end will be in mind for you? What intermediate goals will you set that will help you reach your bigger goals? And if your goal is to graduate, what will you be doing today, in the next week, in the next month, and in your first semester to set you up on the path to graduation? Those intermediate goals, in many ways, become checkpoints on your path to become who you were born, destined to be. I would like to thank everybody for being patient and indulging me in the activities that I've designed and set up for the room. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all. Some of you all, this is your first time having me in front of a mic speaking to you. And all the stuff about Student Government Association President, some of you all still may not have a grasp of what that means. And I want to make it very simple in this moment right now. If today is the first and last day that you see me, then I would have failed you as your president. And I would have failed myself in the standards and expectations that I set up for myself. So please, don't let today be the first and last day that we have a conversation. There's enough time in the day, there's enough days in a semester, and there's enough semesters in a year for us to be able to connect at least one more time. So with that, thank you once again, and I hope to see you all shortly.
Thank you, President Martinez. That was wonderful. I hope one of the things you take from today and part of your end plan is, in fact, to transform into young adults, as Trustee Wilkins and President Martinez has, and that you could envision yourself 4 years from now actually giving advice to the incoming class. That's part of what we hope to accomplish in your 4 years here. So thank you so much for your leadership. I look forward to working with both of you in the days and months ahead. President Martinez also gave you some great advice about breathing. I'll tell you a secret. I actually started practicing yoga this summer. And they talk about breathing. Right? Anybody do yoga in here? If you don't, you probably should. Even though I wrestled in high school and I thought I was pretty good on my feet, they put you in some positions that I don't know. I practically fall over. But when you get to class, either later today or tomorrow, take a deep breath, right? Take it all in. It's not that bad. We're here to help you, and you are going to be successful. So take that advice. Now it is my pleasure and privilege and honor to introduce David Silva, our Provost and Academic Vice President. The Provost of a university is its academic leader. He oversees all of the academic support programs for the university, working with faculty, department chairs, and deans to provide you with the highest quality academic experience. You, as Salem State students, are so fortunate to have a great provost, Provost David Silva. Welcome. I'm betting he also has some good advice for you as well.
Yep. But without the yoga. So I want to add my welcome to all of you, class of 2023. And I want to recognize from the outset that each of you comes to Salem State with your own story, with your own expectations, with your own doubts and your own questions, but most of all, with your own hopes and dreams for the future. You bring to our university wonderful possibility and enormous potential. The faculty, staff, and administrators at Salem State are here to help you realize those possibilities and to cultivate that potential. Our #1 objective is your success. We care about the critical, everyday successes which, one by one, over time, they build your knowledge. The Book of Unknown Americans You know, the title itself, it merits a bit of consideration. I suspect that each person in this room at some point in our lives has felt unknown, unnoticed, anonymous, lonely. I know that there have been times in my life when I have felt very alone, believing that nobody understands my experience, and I'm upset in feeling as if I'm the only one going through something. And I strongly suspect that you've experienced similar moments in your life, and you might be having one of those today, or yesterday, or tomorrow. Well, as I stand before you today on this stage, I say these other three words. I see you. I see you. We see you. And you belong here. You belong here. Each of you matters here at Salem State. Your story is worth sharing. Your voice, it matters. You shall not be unknown. So, one last time, I ask, look at the people gathered here. Your charge as a member of this community is to reach out to others, to exercise kindness, and to help ensure that each person here is known. And oh, don't forget, go to class. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, you belong here, and we are thrilled to see you and committed to your success. Thank you so much for those words of advice, Provost Silva. I now ask that all members of the incoming first-year class and transfer class please stand to be recognized. Congratulations and welcome to Salem State. I would now like to thank Provost Silva, the faculty, librarians, and the staff for all who participated in and contributed to this program this morning. I thank you all for coming and joining us. Please remain in place until the recession is complete, and then join us for a picnic lunch in front of the Ellison Campus Center. And at 12:25, we will take the official Class of 2023 photo, so please be sure you are in it. And then at 12:45, please join your first year reading experience discussion groups as you've been assigned. Welcome to Salem State.